because Csaba spoke about the structure of the Hungarian electricity system, but I would like to focus to the nuclear power plant of Paks 2. So, okay, sorry. Let me start with this picture. So it was mentioned that the renewables and the nuclear should operate parallel, but which source could be regulate itself properly according to the demand. So at the moment, if you see that picture, this is a dedicated day in Hungary. You can show that the solar generation was high enough and the Paks 1 power decreased according to that peak generation because the export to the domestic consumers was limited. So what should we do? I would like to highlight that because it was mentioned that the standardization for the SMRs is a very important key issue. And earlier, the newcomers in the nuclear industry thought that the standard design could be applicable for every site. But it is not true, because the standard solution made on the designer's table and containing only standardized requirements, and every such kind of design should be fit to the site characteristics, the local laws, and the requirements, the needs of the grid operator. Just a short picture about the requirements, where it's coming from. So the basis in Hungary, of course, the often mentioned European Utility Requirements basis, which is a general requirement package, and the NSOE, which is requirements coming from the other aspects, from the grid operator point of view, but the grid operator doesn't care about what is the source of the electricity, nuclear or coal or anything else. They deal with only how to regulate the grid properly according to the demand and the supply. And of course, and what I present, when we created the EPC contract with the supplier for the Paks 2, we took into account all such kind of requirements. But it was around a decade ago. What happened? The PV increased up to the sky, so the design, what we contracted, need to be modified according to this requirement. Just a short summary about the requirements for the nuclear design coming from the earlier mentioned sources, but let me focus to the most important one. What kind of requirement should be fulfilled if you would like to have a very flexible nuclear power plant which can operate according to the scheduled needs and according to the unestimated grid positions. It is a big deal for the nuclear because the design should be changed, not just in a conventional path, then the nuclear as well. Unfortunately, I haven't heard details in many conferences about the fuel design of the nuclear power plants, because the standard nuclear fuel, which contracted generally in the very beginning, not fits such requirements, what later the owner or the operator would like to have. But technically it's possible to design and manufacture any kind of nuclear fuel, but it takes special licensing, because nobody would like to have a first-of-a-kind solution in the site. Mainly the authority, not. doesn't, and it needs extra cost. And if the grid needs always changing, somebody should have a point what kind of operation mode is necessary for the nuclear power plants. It is impossible to match the operational strategy for the actually waiving needs on the grid. So I think this is the meaning. So technically everything is possible, but in a licensing point of view, that is why I asked about that question, that okay, the standard design could be licensed according to the standard requirements, but every country has own specific ones, not just because of the nuclear safety point of view, because of the needs of the grid. So we analyzed the appropriateness of that VVR 2000 design for the Hungarian grid, and we found that it's way. Taking into account such estimated PV development, what Csaba mentioned. But what happened in the future? So if it will be doubled or twice, nobody knows. We have to recalculate that analysis, and we have to decide what to do. Change the design, change the fuel, or found other solution to which will participate in the regulation of the electrical grid. And just to summarize which fields need to be taken into account, I have to mention that there is another aspect in the nuclear, the red waste volume in case of the load following. So at the moment, according to the physical rules, the liquid red waste will be increased in case of using load following solutions, and the lifetime of the fuel also will be decreased. So, because there is another way to prolong the annual outages, the time between the annual outages in the nuclear power plant, or be flexible. So finally, it should be an economical question for an owner and the operator. So thank you so much, and I think I will be short, but I highlighted the main questions on this issue. Thank you so much.